Do you have someone you can delegate to serve several ways?
Wire right there to make everything come crash.
There's a possibility of
It's extra wire. Maybe you could go pick the wire.
space and was gracious enough to let us use this for the 12/12 conference. So please give Caitlin a round of applause.
This used to be called Blue Canyon, and it was across the street. So she's been in business for a really long time, and I actually used to work over there, and I worked here recently when she first opened as well. So I have a holistic wellness center just a block up the street. It's called Into the Mystic Healing and Arts. We're closed today, so we could be here. So if you guys get a chance while you're in town, to please go check it out. We have about 10 to 12 different practitioners, locally made merchandise, a sensory deprivation float pod, where you float in 800 pounds of Epsom salt. And we do classes, lots of different things. And so I have a vendor booth over here with Melissa and Jamie working that for us. And then we also have Chief Golden Eagles books over there as well for any of you that have not purchased the books. We were not able to get the 12/12 in time. So we have the 11/11 and 13/13. And the 12/12 will be available online shortly, hopefully for the next few weeks. Yeah. Yeah. And this is Jen Berryhill.
Just a reminder about cell phones. If everyone actually could turn them off versus on vibrate, because that really helps the energy when they're off. If you can, that would be very nice. And restrooms are located back here. If you parked, just know that there's 2-hour parking everywhere. And there's pay to park as well. So if you're in a 2-hour lot, just be mindful of your time. And there's room back here still, I think, for parking. But then there's a big parking garage as well, right behind the old Buffalo Rose.
And then there's some parking off the 14th over actually by my business. They haven't been monitoring that, so the street parking seems to be pretty safe there as well.
Yes, and we actually have people live streaming in to be with us today.
Yes, there are a bunch of
So
people online.
acknowledge all of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you, Jen. So as most of you know, we all just got back from the 11/11 conference in Laguna Beach. Jen coordinated that as well, and then we're going into the 12/12 on this fun Tuesday. So I'm the first speaker, so I will go ahead and introduce myself. I already said my name. My spirit name, my earth spirit name is Kinini La Towashdewi, which is beautiful blue butterfly woman. And my star name is Wishaka Towashdewi, which is star with a beautiful voice. I received my star name last year in California after the 11/11 conference at Giant Rock. And then I just received my earth spirit name in July after Sundance. So I'm extremely grateful to be here speaking with you all. And this is really, really awesome that we're here to show the energy and raise the vibration in Golden in this awesome space. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here and taking this time. So some of the messages that I was going to bring in is from the 12/12 Star Spider message, Grandmother Spider. So at 11/11, we were in the moon of Grandmother Spider, and a lot of those messages still come into play at this time as well. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that, it's all about connecting cords of love to each other, which we have all of these cords connected to each other's hearts, and then therefore that connects to the heart of Creator. And so always keeping in mind to remember the attachments that we do put onto people, and that we can put unhealthy attachments onto others and to ourselves. And if you ever feel a queasy feeling from anybody, or you even feel that queasy feeling with yourself, it's realizing that you've had some unhealthy attachment set into place. And so a lot of that comes back to letting go and remembering to let go as much as you can. It's a day-to-day process, as we all know. But when we set up expectations for other people to do things the way that we would, we pass judgments and And we have to realize that nobody will ever do anything the way that we will do it. So you know that saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. It's not meant to be a jerk, it's because it's true. And so when we accept that everybody is doing the best that they can or the best that they know how, it creates an easier space for us to move forward with ourselves, which in turn creates us being a whole, the greatest gift we can give to humanity. So to be a whole person, then we are not putting our junk onto other people. We have an understanding, and then that brings in that silver cord of love to our hearts. So a few things I was just reading with the Star Spider messages, and I'm just going to go through a few snippets of it because you'll have to buy the book to figure out the rest. So Star Spider weaves 8 cosmic cords to web the universes together. A strand of attunement, a link of alignment, a draw of length, a thought to sync, thus weaves intuition's legs. A cord of simple strength, a universal path, a flow of creation, a flash of reality, weaves wisdom's inner cosmic path. Iktomi opens the web. So with this message, it went through and started talking about how we need to remember our names and remember our tasks. And so the first one that I read was Thoth, which some people refer to him as Thoth, Toth. It doesn't matter what you say. But I took an oath to spread the wisdom from Thoth, so that is why I say Thoth. Interesting because it has to do with memory. And I started channeling Thoth a little over 2-3 years ago and had no idea what it was. I hadn't learned about any of this stuff in school, high school, anything like that. And it just came in because of a tattoo that was backwards. I was getting the Eye of Horus tattoo, and halfway through, I thought it was supposed to be the right eye, and I realized the gentleman was doing the left eye. And I looked up the symbology of the left eye, and that's how I found out about Thoth. And then it had to do with the moon and mysticism and mathematics and music and spirituality and all these things that I really connected to. And from that day on, up until this point, it's constant. Like, the messages come in for me with Thoth, and these messages come in for everyone. And there were different ascended masters that it talked about in the 12-12 teachings. And there were a few different ones like Quetzalcoatl or Atlas, or some that I didn't even know how to pronounce, and Kuan Yin. But I felt that since I was bringing in this part of the message, that since what I know and what my soul mission is to bring these messages of love from Thoth, that's what I'm speaking to you all about, because it's from experience. So we all have different connections to different beings. Who has connections to Kuan Yin? And connections to White Buffalo Calf Woman, and connections to Quetzalcoatl, and Thoth. So it's interesting because a lot of us have like those connections to all of them, and that's what we're really working towards, is that we are all connected to everything. It's not like I am Thoth and I'm the only one who brings in these messages. That's totally ego, and that's not fair. We are all connected, and we all came here with a soul mission. We all have tasks. We all have things we're here to do. It's not working from 9 to 5 and then retiring and hoping to go cruise around in our RV and visit some parks. Like, really? That's it? And so something that really came through because of choosing to find the connection with Thoth, and it has to do with memory. So it was remembering, and so all these messages had come in about meditations I was supposed to teach, and it was about remembering your soul mission, remembering who we are. Because if we remembered everything from our past lives or from where we were as a star being, it would be way too much. And then you can't relate to anybody at all, and everyone's like, "You're a freak in the corner," rocking back and forth. And we've all been there as well. I have. And my family looking at me like, "Who are you? Where's Mommy Joe?" And I know we've all felt that feeling of wanting to be special and wanting to be seen and wanting to be heard. And that's why we're all here, is because we're all here to support each other and be heard and grow and not be to what we were in the past. Because everything that we have done up until this point has made us who we are. And so not holding any judgments, but realizing that every single thing we did, any judgment, anytime we were beating ourselves up, that it was all to help us remember what we are here to do. Because there's so much growth from pain and so much growth from helping other people get through that pain and realize that we all have a purpose and we all have a mission. And so with these cords, it was interesting because Grandmother Spider, she's straightening the web. And I was just talking to Eagle about this the other night. I was like, straightening the web. And he was like, straightening the web? How do you straighten the web? And I was like, maybe I read it wrong. Maybe it's straightening the cord. And it was like, yeah, that makes sense. And the next morning I got up and I read it again. And it was like, no, she's straightening the web. And then it clicked. When we see a web, when it's falling in, if there's not a straightness, and even though there's a different design, there still has to be this tightness to have the web strong. And so that is the straightening of the web. And so it's starting off in the middle. So starting off and then eventually weaving all the way around, which is what we do with ourselves, to become this beautiful geometric shape of this powerful web. And there is straightening to it, even though what we view as straightening is like just straight across. Like, think of all the different webs that there are and all the different shapes, and it's so symbolic of how all of us are, and that we all create our own beautiful web. So another part was that that she's here to straighten the web, testing the people, and baking shonen bread. That's actually what it says, bacon shonen bread. So when you get the book, you'll see that. And it's interesting because a lot of my path that I've been on has turned into living from high vibrational place with food, water, all of that. When I used to live at McDonald's, Taco Bell, Wendy's, if it was green and a vegetable, I didn't even want it looking at me. And everything changed with my life and my health. And so I feel it was a test from Grandmother Spider testing the people of like, oh, you think you can do whatever you want and just, you know, poison your body. It's like you chose this vessel to come in, and how are you going to take care of it? How are you really going to take care of it? And expecting everybody else to take care of it, expecting the government, expecting even restaurants. A lot of people are in things to make money because that's what we've been taught. That's what we need to survive. So it is up to us on our own to do the research and learn about food. And so what was funny is that I cut out gluten 4 years ago. And I had a lot of skin rashes and some other like just mind stuff and brain fog and things like that. And that's when a lot of things really changed. And then realizing the importance of drinking water, I cut out soda and cut down on sugar and realized how it causes depression. And I didn't even realize that I lived off of Pepsi. That was my coffee every morning. I drink a 12-pack of Pepsi a day. And so with the testing and the shonen bread, I was like, what does she mean by this? Like bacon shonen bread. And I looked up the ingredients of shonen bread. I'm just gonna say shortening bread, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The ingredients was 4 cups of flour, 4 cups of brown sugar, some eggs, butter, very simple. And so does everybody know that song, like Mom's little baby like shortening, shortening? So that song actually stemmed from the slaves. So that is what kept a lot of the slaves going, because wheat, like wheat as a whole grain, has tons of vitamins, tons of nutrients. It's really amazing. And so that kept them from being sick, because if they were sick, they couldn't go out and work in the fields, and then they would get beat. And I mean, we all know the stories of all of this. And so it was putting this together of like, oh, okay, shonen bread was medicine. So Grandmother Spider is bringing in this medicine for people, but I was like, well, how does this work with gluten and bread? And I know there's got to be more to it. So as I dug down the rabbit hole more, I started researching the wheat and what the real problem is. And so it's being mass produced. And so it's like in big tubs. And they're stirring it so much that it actually creates way more gluten than if you were making your own flour. So back then, our ancestors and the slaves, everybody, they, took the time to keep it as a whole grain. And so it wasn't necessarily that gluten was the problem. None of it was the problem. What the problem is now is the way it's being processed. And so what they do is they stir it so much, it creates a ton of gluten, which is not good for our stomachs for anybody. It's linked to heart disease, it's linked to lots of things, there's no nutrients. And then they're bleaching it, so therefore they're taking out any ounce of goodness, any vitamin, nutrients that was in there. And then they're enriching it, so if you've seen enriched bread, so they're enriching it and putting in their own, like the exact same vitamins and minerals that were in there, but it's completely different. Like originally it had like folate, niacin, vitamins A, K, potassium, everything was at 100%. After they took everything out, it went to 0, and then what they're adding in, it's not the proper ratios. It's like 14% vitamins and 156% folate, which is not, it's not what nature intended, is pretty much what it is. So there's a lot of things where people are like, oh, well, gluten holds the bread together better, and it's all crummy. And I started thinking about Hansel and Gretel and all those stories about the breadcrumbs. Like, no one was like, my bread stays together so well. And if you notice, there really aren't that many crumbs nowadays when you're eating bread that's overprocessed. And so we've gotten used to it being white and bleached. That's my child. So things being white, bleached, almost like everything has to be this perfect shape, this perfect texture, otherwise we can't eat it. It's disgusting. And we actually made some gluten-free biscuits the other day, and they had like a brownish color to them, but they were really, really good. I was super impressed with them. Thanks, Steve. So after all of this was all the rabbit hole and everything, researching all of it with the wheat, with the flour, with the shonen bread, and how wheat and gluten aren't actually the culprit. It's the way things are being processed and mass produced. So then it comes down to voting with your dollar. And it's like, okay, well, we've all been taught that we have to go to work and do all these things, so nobody has time to grow their own food anymore. Nobody has time to make their own bread. And so I have no choice. I have to go to the grocery store. I have to buy this. They would never put anything out that is harmful to me. Never. They love me. It costs a lot of money to be sick. A lot of money to be sick. And I don't truly believe that the intention was to make people sick, and maybe it was. And at this point now, everybody's in on it together of like, oh, okay, we're going to mass produce this. This is going to make some people sick. And then, oh, okay, now we're going to help you out to the doctors, and they're going to come here. And then the pharmaceutical company will make a bunch of money, and we'll buy all of the medicine from them, and we'll just keep people at bay, but they will never actually be healed. And then that hardens your pineal gland. And that is what we use for our intuition and to gain these messages and to gain all of this wisdom. Not like, okay, jump out and go buy a bunch of gluten-free bread, because some of it sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it does. And it's more expensive, but it's more expensive because they're not mass producing it. But when you think about how expensive it is when you're sick, as opposed to purchasing what is good for you and knowing that those companies that are making that care about you. They want you to live longer to be able to keep eating and to keep growing. And it's all about helping each other. And so then that comes into turn when we take care of ourselves, we take care of everything. We take care of the planet. We take care of our family. Like all of this. And then that is the key to remembering what we are here to do, piece by piece, puzzle by puzzle. And it all comes together, and we all co-create this together. It's not just one. if I was just standing here and the only person in here speaking, what good would it be? Like, we're all here to listen and we're all here to teach. And so if one of you goes and tells somebody about what I'm saying, then that person tells another person, that is how you change the world. So it's be the change you want to see, and that's being the change and shifting. And another thing about gluten that I would like to mention is that a small amount stays in your system for 3 weeks. So if you're eating bread every day, it's never getting out of your system. And so it's a cycle. And if you have any body aches and pains, I guarantee you it is from that and sugar. It's this combination. I've been working with Eagle because he was having knee pain, and the grandmothers had told him that he needed to change some things. And so he asked me for help. And I was like, you have to cut out bread. Sorry. And soda and some sugar, and just do things more in moderation. And he's been pain-free now for a couple of months. After 16 years of knee pain. Anyways, that's what he told me. He said he had knee pain since 2000, so 17 years. He had trouble walking up the stairs. He had trouble moving, dancing. He's a great dancer. He doesn't dance, except on occasion. So that's proof too of how that can help. So that's what this message was supposed to come in from Grandmother Spider. What I was supposed to help people remember is remembering your ancestors and focusing on that too. It's, some people need bread and things like that. So, but it's not consuming it all the time. It's in moderation. So everything that I'm here to help with is to help people remember how to live in more of a clean and clear way as much as possible. I still have my vices. I still have things that I do. I do not claim to be perfect. But if anybody ever needs help with anything, I can help. I feel like I can bridge that gap of making that change because it was extremely difficult. Now that it's been 4 years for me, I know exactly what to look for. I know what tastes good. I wasted all the money on the crappy stuff. I cried a lot cooking dinner. I was like, this is crap. And so then it was kind of just like not eating, which isn't good. But I've learned a lot, and I feel that this is part of the message from Grandmother Spider, bringing it in, and why she felt the need to say bacon shonen bread. So if you all want to make shonen bread, feel free. Just get some whole grain flour. That would be the best. So thank you all so much. I will be seeing you in between each speaker. I hope everybody could hear okay. And I love you all. Thank you for listening.
Took
Is everybody heard me okay? This works without a microphone? Yeah, are we cool with that? No frequencies? So our next speaker is Amanda Standing Blossom. She is the founder of the Earth Love LLC, or Love of Earth, I apologize, Love of Earth. She is a Holy Fire Karuna RMT, integrated breathwork facilitator. Shambhala, thank you. Shambhala, yoga teacher and shamanic practitioner. Her mission is to learn to love all aspects of self and stand as an example of living from the heart as a live breathing being, is the center of the lotus, holding a space of unconditional love and universal peace. So I met Amanda a couple of months ago, I believe. We got to do a lodge together. So she is a local of Colorado, so let's please give her a round of applause.
Hi, my name is Amanda. My Earth Spirit name is Sagya Litkawin, Standing Blossom. I received a nod from the grandmothers about 6 months ago as I am embarking on a 7-year apprenticeship with the Daughters of the Dawn Star, the Blue Star portal. The information I'm here to talk to you about today is a system that has come through that's called Hiratu Reiki. And Hiratu being defined as to eliminate illusion, to see clearly, to see truth in ourselves and therefore in the world around us. I first began this journey with this channel in 2009 when I started my Reiki training in Cheyenne. I'm actually a Wyoming native. And I was taking my training in my level 1 attunement, and in that experience, this symbol was like flying at me. It's like, and it was this fuchsia iridescent color, and I didn't know what it was. I had never seen anything like that before. And I was just like, wow, I had this wow factor. I'm like, what is that? I've never seen that before. And just, you know, didn't know anything about symbolism, didn't know anything really about energy work. I was just starting on my path, just knowing that it made me feel alive. And when I came out of that experience, I went straight to my journal and I drew it and I wrote it down. And I asked my teacher, Dolores Baker, my Reiki teacher, I was like, what is this? And she's like, I have no idea. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, so what do I do with it then? And she said, I don't know, just sit with it and see what comes through. So I'd never painted in my life. I went home and I painted a full canvas and I painted this symbol on it. And for 2 years, that symbol sat on my wall in my practitioner space. And every time I was working with someone, I'd just stare at that symbol. And I had no idea what it was for 2 years. And then one day, all of a sudden, I hear these words, Hiratu, in my mind. And I'm like, what's that? Same thing. What is this? And so I wrote it down again, and I kind of went to Google and I started looking it up, and I realized that it's this, the seed syllables in that word are like to step away from, to move away from, to separate, to illuminate, and to see. And I'm like, whoa, so this is like to see clearly, right? To step away from illusion. So the first symbol was born with sound, with an image, and with some cognizance and understanding. So as that happened, I was going through my path and going through things, and I started doing transformational breath work. And it's deep diaphragmatic breathing that takes you out of your thinker, planner, doer brain into your expansive, creative brain. And as I was having those experiences, inducing this altered state of consciousness through my breath, I started having more symbols come through to me and more of these images, and they always come through in this fuchsia light. They just fly to me. And so I just kept journaling and kept writing them down. I'm like, well, that has to mean something, right? You know, it keeps coming. And I had one really meaningful experience. I was in Black Forest, Colorado, doing a breath work in a little dome, a little white dome. And I was breathing and I was really getting into it and I was moving. And this being came to me and introduced himself as Sanat Kumara. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And he's like, I want to take you somewhere. So I'm breathing and I'm like blindfolded. I'm like, I'm ready to go on this journey. I want to see. Show me. I would like to see. And I hear this message inside of me that says, if you want to see, remove your blindfold. And I'm like, okay. So I remove my blindfold and I open my eyes in the breathwork space and everybody else has their blindfolds on. And I had been moving around in my experience and I'm facing this just white tent wall, just plain white tent wall in the center of this dome. And he says, if you want to see, come with me and believe that you will see. So I took a breath and I said, I believe. And I got shot through this corridor, which I now know after reading texts later on that Tom Kenyon wrote, the Arcturian Ontology and things like that, that I was being shot through this Arcturian corridor. So I'm going through this time-space continuum and I end up in this starship and everything is just like titanium around me. And this being ushers me in and he shows me, he says, this is what you're here to see. And it's like this command panel and these things. And I walk up to it and there's this pyramid and there's light stuff happening over it. And I'm shown to place the symbol above the pyramid. And what happens when I place the symbol that I'm working with above the pyramid is it gets translated into a language that I can understand. So I'm like, oh, wow, here's this tool. So I had all these symbols that I've been collecting for years now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to place them in this translator that I see. And as I do, the names come to me instantaneously. And as the download of the names come to me, so too comes the meaning and the purpose in this third dimensional reality. Because you can have all these symbols and you can have all this stuff, but what good is it going to do you to speak tongues if you can't translate it, right? So now I have the most profound tool. I have the ability to translate the energy that's coming through. So we have these symbols. If we could just go to that one image. Keep going. Keep going. Going. One more. I think. Maybe one more. That's the one. All right. So you can kind of see, if you can see it, here's some of the original symbols. The Hiratu is the top center one. It's 3 lines drawn down, 2 across, with the top of the pyramid, a line and a dot up on the top. And that's like the tuning symbol. So the practical application of these, I'll say the names of them all because they are activated through sound, through vibration, through the throat chakra. This is Hiratu, Nikanta, Hiran, Hokashanti, Shintu, Nikantu, and Sarah. And these are some of the originals. You're free to take pictures of those if you'd like to. So the purpose of these, the real practical application is to be able to see, to separate from illusion. And the Nikanta here, you know, Bobby was talking about how we put on projections or we create these attachments that are unhealthy with ourselves and with those around us through judgment, through things like that. To begin to eliminate those and to help us see them within ourselves and within the world around us. So the Nikanta works in the upper chakras and it helps us eliminate and dissolve those attachments that we've created through judgment that are no longer serving. So this is an energetic tool to set up the frequency, the vibration to help eliminate that static that gets in the way of us owning ourselves and knowing how to interact with the world around us. The Hiran does the same thing into the lower chakra system. So it works with the lower vibrational frequencies within the being. The Hokashanti is kind of like a distance symbol. It eliminates time and space. So that allows us to go back through past lives, into future lives, in this life, and different experiences that we've had before, so we can begin to dissolve those things and come into the here and now fully without being caught up and attached to those different things. It helps us connect the pineal gland and helps us understand what our physical pain is trying to tell us. because we all have pain, we all have these things. Really, our pain is just a roadmap to help us get to our truth, right? So we have this pain, what's it trying to tell me? Instead of trying to cover it up or trying to suppress it or trying to treat it with pills or, you know, whatever we do, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, we don't want to treat what hurts. We want to treat why it hurts in the first place. So these help us get down to the bottom of that. The Nikon 2 over there, this one, I was fascinated when Bobby was speaking because she's talking about straightening the web. That one is for the web. It actually helps us reconnect the myofascial tissue within our physical body, and it connects our global connection as well as the universal connection. So this is a symbol that helps to strengthen that web, helps to straighten the web. And then the other one is the Sarah that was up there. And that works with our solar plexus. That's the one that helps us remember our name, helps us remember what we're here to do, helps us remember what our soul purpose is in the first place, why we contracted to come into these bodies right here and now. So those 7 are kind of the original 7 that I started working with. From that, through experience, more and more of these symbols come. So right now there is 26. The last one was channeled in November of this year. In addition to this work, I teach Holy Fire Reiki, and as I've been initiating people into the way of Reiki, other people that are taking classes from me are beginning to channel these symbols too. So I know that these are keys for us coming here and now through the star consciousness from the Arcturian consciousness to help us in this human form right now do the work that we're doing to build the web, to grow the connections, to understand what it is that we're suppressing and why and how we can step out of that and just be, like truly be our full, authentic, animated selves as beings. Yeah, so I talked a little bit about that. What's happened, what I've noticed, and I've kind of used myself and a friend volunteered to be kind of research and development for how these symbols work. There's 13 of them that stack on top of each other. Setanukra. It's like the Holy Fire Ascension. It's the Merkaba. And then we have the Kanti, eliminates the illusion of duality, good, bad, right, or wrong. Helps us find that center point where we see value in everything that occurs in our lives, every experience that we create. The Hiran, helping to eliminate those cords that no longer serve in the lower chakras. The Sarah, to ignite your fire, ignite your passion, help you know why the hell you're here in the first place, right? And then the Nikon 2, to reconnect that field within you and around you. The Nikon Ta, to eliminate those cords that no longer serve in the upper chakras. Hiran Surya, self-forgiveness. So we can get off that beating ourselves up train and we can quit beating that drum. Haraya, the longest journey we'll ever make, connecting the heart and the mind. Trakota, to help us find our voice, to use our voice, to bring that vibration from our power into the world, to use that frequency, because every time we speak, we affect change. So that helps us find our true voice. The Shintu, to connect the pineal gland. Aya Ran, to open the inner eye so that you may see all that there is to see without the blinders on. Ashante, to bring this through all time and space. And here, Khan, ultimate love and protection. Only loving vibrations may enter, only loving vibrations may go out. So when we stack these all together, it creates like this shaman staff. And so myself, being a woman who really enjoys tattoos, was like, hit my homeboy up and I was like, I want you to tattoo this on my spine from here to here. And so we did, and we tattooed it invisibly so that it's not visible to the eye, but that it's imprinted in the being. Holy crap. Wow, the first few months of having that experience were off the charts. You know, I teach yoga, I teach Reiki, I do all these things, and I go in and I have this activation, and it's like coursing through my being, and I'm like, whoa, and I'd go in to teach Reiki, or to teach a yoga class, and I'd, you know, sit and I'd center myself and come in, and I'd activate everything. And people that had been coming to my classes forever were like kind of passing out and getting a little wonky, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, you've been doing yoga for 10 years. Why are you getting lightheaded every time that, you know, we come up into Tadasana and go back down? And I'm like, what's going on here? And I realized that the frequency of all of these symbols together, when they're fully activated, is such a finite frequency that it breaks up the dense energies around you, whether people are aware of it or not. And it was like, it was really heady. So I'm like, okay, so how can I work with these frequencies to bring it in a little bit so that you're not that crazy girl in the corner, you know, knocking everybody out with weird energy, like, whoa, you know, and so people can actually like, okay, I can feel what's going on here without passing out. If you open a key, because that's what they are, they're keys that access a specific energy. If you open a certain key in each area, then it's doable for people until they can start to resonate with those frequencies and open to a higher frequency and be able to open the full channel. So I had this experience, and then he's like, my friend Jason, he's like, all right, well, I want to have this experience too. So he did him up the front side, and I did him up the back side. It's like, okay, here we go. We're on this journey together. And he started having similar experiences where he was having experiences where he wanted to eat healthier, where he wanted to take better care of himself, do things differently than he had before, much the same as I was. And it was making it easier and easier and easier to understand how to take care of yourself in a healthful way. And then, in turn, being able to share that with others. So working with all of these symbols in this system for the years that I have now, you know, I've been writing about it and I've been developing, and I'm in the process. My book is to edit right now. I feel very, very, very resonant with the idea of open source information with this. So if you want to know more, please ask questions. I'll be happy to send you the information. I am writing a book so that it can get out to people that are interested in it, but I also have this information on my website, open source, that you can print out. So you can like bypass the whole published thing and just go print out the information that's there, because it's always changing and growing. It's never going to arrive. It's never going to be done. It's never going to be complete. It's going to keep evolving. And I believe, from what I've seen so far, that as we share these energies and we engage with them, then other people are going to start to bring through even more of the channel. Now, all of this is happening in my life, and I'm seeing all these synchronicities. And then my grandma teacher from the Daughters of the Dawn Star was like, girl, you need to read the lineages of the codes of light. And I'm like, okay. So I order this book and I start reading this book, and I'm reading these things, and I'm like reading about the Syrian Council and how the codes of light have been passed down from Amun-Ra and Miranda through Isis and Osiris and, you know, onward, and Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. And I'm seeing like how it's gone through time into the Peruvian temples. And I'm like, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, things are lighting up all over me. And then I start reading about Eukarya in this book, who is a lady that was working during the time of Yeshua and bringing the Arcturian codes in to complement the Syrian codes. And then I meet Jen and Bobby and Eagle at Lodge, and I feel their songs, and we start talking, and I start reading about the 1212 and the 1111, and I'm like, oh, those are the Syrian codes. Oh, I have Arcturian codes. What's going to happen if we come together and we share this energy and we set those codes next to each other and we let them dance and we let them weave together? And then what? So that's why I'm here, for the then what? Because I've been walking around with this information like, okay, so I'm talking to Arcturians, this is cool, and I've got all this information, and half the people I know are like, yes, and the other half are like, girl, you done lost your mind. And I'm like, there's other people out there that understand. This is so cool. So that's really what it's all about. And I feel so blessed to be here today, to come together and to be able to say, okay, here's what I found. Here's what I've channeled. Here's what's come through. And let's sit down and like put it all on the table together and see how they intertwine and how they dance and how this complements grandmother spider and how this complements the other codes and how we can see it grow and build and then just like do that with it. So the way that these are activated mainly is through sound. So I said the symbols to you, but I'd like to sing them so that you can just feel it. Because that's really where the magic is at, is in the feeling. I can sit up here and I can talk to you about it all day long, and I can because I really like to and it's exciting. However, I just want to use the Thrakota, the activation of voice, and give you the experience for yourself so you can just be in it. So I invite everybody to just kind of close your eyes or leave them open if you'd like. Setanukra Kanti Hiram Sara Nikantu Nikanta Hiran Surya Araya Rakota Shintu Aya Ram Oga Shanti Here It is an honor today to stand before you and be the vessel for Hiratu Reiki to find its way to the 3D. Thank you all very much for your presence and for this opportunity.
Okay, let's do another round of applause, please. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? That's better. That's better. Oh, better. Yeah. Shoved in bread better. Oh, better. So next speaker is the man holding the speaker. He's on a mission. So I'll just do a little bit more talking while he's checking his stuff out. So this is my 2-year anniversary of going to the first Star Knowledge Conference I ever went to. It was the 12-12. Yeah. Tracy. We're gonna go to Crowd, been to other ones too, but we all went up together. Garrett. We crazy tonight. Yeah. It was definitely a lot of fun. It's funny on Facebook how the shared memories pop up, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that these memories pop up to remind me of all these important anniversaries. And then it's kind of creepy, the circles that we go in. Has anybody else noticed that? If you're on Facebook, like the memories, it's like you're hanging out with the same people at the same time over the course of these years. And I've had that obviously with the 12-12 conference, but we didn't do a 12-12 conference last year. So it's just interesting to see how everything flows. Something that I found fascinating that I did not know about at the first conference, actually, I didn't even know about it until probably a few months ago. I have a lot of these aha moments where it's just like, doo-doo-doo, stumbling, and then all of a sudden a synchronicity pops up, and it's like, oh, it all comes together, it all makes sense. So that happened with the Star Knowledge Conference. I didn't know that these symbols had been these symbols that were found on the Roswell crash, or what they call the Roswell crash. Did everybody else know that? So I find that extremely fascinating. So in 1947, from 1947 to 1948, there were 18 crashes throughout New Mexico. So the actual crash wasn't in Roswell, that's just where they took everything because there was a base there. So there were 18 crashes in that 1-year period of time, and that was the only place in the world they were testing for the atomic bomb, which, if you think about it, it really makes sense. And we were just watching that Roswell movie last night, and I can't remember which person it was, but one of them, like one of the living star beings that were on the ship, one of the Zeta Reticuli, who now today we know is Sani. You can look her up on YouTube. It's really fascinating. But she remembers everything and tells the whole story of she lost her thought for a split second of the telepathy with the ship. And that's how it crashed into another one. And then there was also a really crazy storm and a lot of things with the gravitic system that caused all these different crashes. So she connected telepathically with like the Secretary of State or something like that, who eventually fell out of the window. And he had stated a message that like more will be coming, that there's more coming. And so they took it as fear. But what they were doing is they were bringing these symbols in for us to realize that those bombs go off and we do this, it affects everything. Like we are not the only beings here. And we're kept, and they couldn't destroy the material, which is really fascinating. So the 1111 book, that deals with the full moon and the new moons. And then the 1313 books that we have, that's the quarter moons. And so all of these symbols have significance. And when you go through, for those of you who do have the books or listen to any of the messages with this, it's all about loving yourself, loving the planet, honoring fireflies, owls, stones, the trees, the lightning, thunder, I mean, everything here that is connected. And so when I realized that, even the spiders, realizing that, it really brought a lot of it in more. I actually grew up an hour and a half away from Roswell, New Mexico. And where I lived in West Texas, that was the first place I ever saw a ship when I was a teenager. Like a huge ship. It looked like 3 stars that if you put a line through them, it would have made a triangle. and it's very flat where I lived, and so it was coming up from the ground, just giant. And I jumped up and I said out loud, "I've got to tell Dad." And as soon as I said that, it went dim, dim, and was just gone. So that was 21 years ago. And last year, after the first Star Knowledge Conference I went to a year and a half ago, he posted a video of a ship in South Dakota, and it was the exact same one that I saw 21 years ago. And we didn't have cell phones or picture. Like, I had a 35mm camera. Like, we didn't have any of the stuff we have now. So it's really cool to see these videos of all these different ships and know that it's real. So some of the questions that I was having was like, okay, so all these different ships came in to bring in these messages now, because we're all still being connected off some of the bombs, but I'm wondering if there was something bigger or different that they didn't set off and it didn't affect things the way they thought it was going to. But there was nothing about fear. So there's all these movies that have been put out, like Alien and War of the Worlds and Independence Day, Signs. All of these movies that talk about galactic beings, it's all fear-based. And I know for a fact that at Lockheed Martin, they do tests, they do drills. What would we do if galactic beings came in? They say aliens. They're like, what would we do if aliens came in and shut down our system? So Lockheed Martin actually does tests, like drills for that in preparation. So it just goes to show that any of the rumors or anything that happened with Roswell, where it's like, it's not true, it was a weather balloon, that all of it's BS, and that there are higher beings and higher powers that want to have control and are trying to keep us from, they're trying to keep us more so to be slaves in a sense. And as much as I didn't want to believe that it's true, I definitely believe it. How are you doing, Eagle? Keep going, like Eagle?
Yes.
So I'm not sure if all of you have heard Chief Golden Light Eagle speak. He is the Dakota Sundance Chief. He's got a lot of really amazing stories. He became a chief hereditary from his father, but he also fed the people of his reservation for 8 years. He hunted every day and nobody starved. So he really did a lot to help the people and help the community. It's really great to go out there when we go out and visit and see all the people that know him and just how much he helped. And he sets a big example of how we all should be, a living example of living selflessly, just to give and to he focuses more on giving, I would say, more so than receiving. He always receives, and he receives all of our love and all of the gratitude that we give to him, but there's a lot more to his story than the bio that's on the Star Knowledge website. A lot of interesting things. And so originally his other spirit name was Standing Elk. And I didn't know that. And I went to a conference last year. My friend AJ had this book and was like, hey, the Star Knowledge Conference that you talk about, there's this guy, Standing Elk. And I was looking at the picture. It was like from 1996. I was like, I have no idea who that guy is. I haven't seen him. Maybe he'll be, I'm new to this scene. Maybe I'll see him at some point. And then I go out to Iowa and then they were talking about Standing Elk. I was like, oh, Chief Golden Light Eagle is Standing Elk. And so I came back and told AJ, I was like, oh my gosh, it was just him a long time ago and here was black. So I didn't recognize him at all, and he had a mustache before, so I didn't even see him, but I felt really silly. And then we made a lot of other jokes and turned Standing Elk into Standing Elf. So now that's been the big joke. I'm just going to keep talking and stall until we get this going. Thank you all for listening to these fun stories. So yeah, he's a really amazing man. He's been doing this for 21 years, bringing this in. Spirit told him to quit working and to start traveling and spreading all these messages. And that's what he's been doing since 1996 and being taken care of. And it all helps with the support of all of you. So thank you all very, very much for keeping this going, because it wouldn't be possible without all of you. in this creation, co-creation, and of course, wouldn't all be possible without Chief Golden Light Eagle. So we love you. Please give her a round of
All the speakers can just stand right here for video's sake. It looks good, yeah. So, good morning, everybody. At this time, we want to call I know you're all 12-dimensional people, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Okay, so I want to say thank you for being part of the family. We're all families, you know. So I want to call in some 12-dimensional beings. Yours, all your guides and all that. So you can stand up, or if you want to sit, that's okay. Makasi tonia okia waoelo oya dewa heya ya uelo viesh mawakayelo ayo makasi tonia kaya waoelo Victoria heya ya uelo Viesh mawakayelo, ayo. Okay, no cheek, domina. Mitake pi, tuahe mitana, uchape, tuamitana, okiapo. Na tawachi na vita chante okia. Like domi uchape, uchochana. I hanka upi ocheke na chante makijis yo na tawachi ni chante na hanka upi. Okay, wopila nam tomi uchape chokina kafnilo cheki. Wow. So you could sit down. So a lot of us are born into this. Some of us have to pick up where we left off in other lifetimes and do our regrowing process or reincarnation process until we get to this point of where we're at right now. So some of us already know the information. Some of us are saying, hey, I'm so busy working, I'm so busy raising my children, I'm so busy doing this and doing that, that I don't have time for this and this and this and this. So right now we're making time. You gave yourself time to do this. Now there's 13 altars of this land, you know, and each altar is a mirror of you. And the first altar from this walk on the 12th dimensional level is the altar of the spider, which is the Iktomi. And so through this way, you have to walk a way of no blame. Through this 12th dimensional way, don't blame anybody for anything. Okay? There's no need for that anymore because you're externalizing everything that you didn't take responsibility for. Right? You're blaming God for all the good things in your life. You're blaming the aliens for all the bad things in your life, or the devil. So each area has a different time zone. Religion has a devil and Jesus for the good and the bad. You know? How many Pleiades in here? Arcturians. Yeah, how many Andromedas? Okay. How many Orion? How many Zeta Reticuli? Anybody? Okay. Zeta Reticuli. Alpha Centauri. You're not Alpha. There, Garrett Duncan. Hey, so we got like 10,800,000 different star systems that we all work with, and we're only limiting ourselves to only a few, you know, because that's all we could retain in these three-dimensional bodies. And we're so stuck in the grand illusion that we can't go beyond 3D, 4D, but so far, if I talked with, what's his name, Dr. Hoagland, and we argued over dimension, and he couldn't understand where I was coming from, simply because he was taught only 3 dimensions. Right? So we have more than that. We're taught that, we know it, we grow it, we walk it, we live it. You guys read it. So the Spirit said that they work in up to 220 dimensions. That's like magic to us. We can't figure out how things work in their worlds, and we never will until we're in their vibration. So open up the definition of dimension would be really good, because right now we're limiting ourselves to what the term of that dimension means. So we have to grow with this dimensional way. We have to relearn it. We go into the 13th, and that's the teaching of the dimensions of yin and yang, see? Or the dimensions, and it creates, and it absolutely this erases the duality, we call duality, fully. Right now, if you have fear, you're still in duality. If you're afraid of something, somebody, an incident, trauma, you're carrying the Antichrist syndrome. Because that's Antichrist is externalization for not wanting to look at yourself as being the true Antichrist. Because we got unconditional love over here, fear on this side, see? So this is Christ consciousness, Christ energy. So if you don't have Christ energy, you have fear, that's called Antichrist. So if you have that inside you, you're going to externalize and say, oh, that Antichrist is over there. That's Trump. That's Obama. That's the guy who's over there. It's actually you if you're carrying fear. So when you eliminate that stuff, then yeah, duality will exist on another level, but it won't exist in your reality anymore. So this is what we're driving as a nation, because we're so faced with so many issues there's issues that we created in the future. Okay? But them star people are coming in that are you, coming in with messages from the future and saying one thing is that this world is in danger. What are we doing about it? This earth is in danger. We got a starman that comes in and say, hey, the Third World War happened. And we came back to look for the evidence. They couldn't find the evidence because it was destroyed. So they said, well, where did you come from? Well, it sounds like you're a time traveler. I said, yes. Could you explain that to me? So no, you won't be able to comprehend it. So what created this World War III? Dogma. What kind of dogma? The 2 greatest dogmas we have, religion and politics. What created World War III? He said only a few of us survived. He said, well, do you believe in God, or do you have a religion or anything? No, we're beyond myth. We're beyond superstition. So they said, well, what do you believe in? But we believe in compassion. Compassion. So I remember my nephew told his spiritual guides, told him, said, you look like a Dakota, you sing and pray and dance like a Lakota, and you talk like a Lakota, but you're not. Because you do not have compassion. Compassion. And that's what we need to consider what's inside ourselves. Take a moment to police yourself, your internal structure of who you really are. Where did you come from? You know you came from a star, some stardust. You know that you've traveled here many lifetimes and with many races, black, white, yellow, red, and many cultures. You're connected to the Asians, to the Egyptians, to the Druids, to the Celts, the Native Americans, Buddha, Allah, Jesus, name all the masters, Kanyan, White Buffalo, Calf Woman. They're all our family. You know, and they said, do not worship them. You talk to them. They're here to help you. But when we start worshiping, we're going to create a religion, and that's not what we need to do. You know, we have to honor each other, listen to each other, help each other through each other's dreams. Not to take one person and just make them your god or goddess. No, we're all in this together because the age of Pisces was about one. This is Aquarius, it's about oneness. Okay? Oneness. Oneness. Working together. We've made so many mistakes. We've made so many issues and so much karma for ourselves that we need to consider, we need to reconsider our path. Step back from our ego. That's my other name. I got ego and ego. That's my clown name. So we need to work with that. So when we're working with this here, what she talked about was a crash. Go ahead, hit the next one. Hit the plate. No backlight. Just rub your arrow on there somewhere, and there it is on there. Okay. So we're talking about this. A lot of these symbols come physically from some of these crashes, and this certain one, I was talking to Grandma Chandra, and she was in one of those crashes with the Zeta Reticuli crew. And so I asked her, I said, did you die in that crash? She said, no, I just went to another dimension. Because the star people, they don't have the word die. You know, like we here on Earth do, because it creates a fear in you that this is, you know, you're gone forever or whatever. But no, she said, no, I just went to another dimension. So this was actual footage of a crash that took place. I do have sound.
Radio Rock, the track bears 2009 miles, sir. Thank you for the go. Radio Rock, it looks like we had a no shoot, sir. Vector 200, 8 miles, what turning path? Negative road, negative shoot. Copy, we see the visual. Impact at 855.
Okay, so there's survivors in here. You can see somebody over on that cracked part. You'll see something moving there. So anyway, I read the Roswell story or listened to it on so many documentaries about the material, how strong it was, but this was like, at least it showed that it had a flaw in there. You can take the next one. So this was a part of this crash here. You can see this little person there. Those are platings. Next one. Okay, you hit that play button now. These were the panels, and when they took me on one of the ships, I've seen these panels and how they were working them against the wall. There was two men, and I knew they were men. But they put their hands on them panels, and they know how to use their energy, much like you do Reiki and all this. But there's a little different. They're able to go on and move the ships wherever and however, because they're all organic, and the ships are made especially to their vibration, their frequencies in their bodies. So these are the bars that you've seen. there was different types of bars. There was from 1 inch to 6 inches, and the longest bar was like 18 feet across. So, and all together there was actually 18 crashes, but Roswell was the most famous. This is actually what the Corona crash from Roswell, and there was another one in Socorro, and that were the Pleiades. The Roswell was Zeta Reticuli scientists, and I got to communicate and be friends with the pilot at that time. Her name was Sonny, and he said, we were scientists. We didn't come here to bother. We come here as a group to study this Earth. But anyway, she said, I was the one that was responsible for the craft coming down. I lost focus for 1 second, which allowed that Atlantean energies, the radar, which you're experiencing with at that time, and also the thunderstorm, it created a collision with another vehicle, which crashed over way on the north of where they landed, in Socorro, New Mexico. So there was like 12 in that crash, and about 4 in this other one. So, in the other ones, there's more people that seen that. There are also more civilians that seen the Socorro. But military, there's like 350 military that came out in public to say this is really happening. So when you see the bars and the symbols that some of that you see are symbols that we're going to present today. And the ones that were, out of them 18 crashes, there was 10 different star races. And they took the bodies over there in Wright-Patterson. But there was, all of them had hieroglyphs in their light ships. But there was a set of them that were the same in all of the ships. So that meant that they communicated, together some kind of way. Okay, so this here is one of the old shots, and as you see, their fingers, they got 6 or 5 fingers and a thumb. And same way with their feet. They got 1 big toe and 5 little toes. 6. So there's a big hole in the leg. So they don't look as bad as they want you to, say they look. But they have that little black lens over their eyes, which looks like what you would use as sunglasses, because of what they have to go through, the radiations and all this kind of stuff, and their suns and all that. So that's what they use. They took those lenses off, and what they seen was they're able to see at night. So that's what night vision came from. Okay, you can go to the next one. So they say that there's proof on the petroglyphs. Go to the next one. Please go way back. We'll continue with that. Somebody visited us a long time ago, and they were probably all you. Some of you that did artwork were probably responsible for a lot of petroglyphs on the wall. See, all you artists. Left the message here. The 6 fingers. This is over there in Babylonian, Sumerian times. Look at how big that giant is. Has a lion for a pet. Looks like that little cat that your kid carries around. Fingers with the people that live in the jungles, but I won't show you. Okay, you can flip them through slowly. So that's just a little brief intro on letting you know where some of these came from. Okay, and they were there. And symbols are important. They tell a story. So if you take this symbol, what does it look like to you? Like a chicken foot? How about if you circle it? Peace symbol, right? All right? So, but if you turn that peace symbol up this way, then it's the real symbol. But they knew about symbology, so when they turned it down, it created the opposite effect. So if you wear that symbol and walk down the street, then the cops are going to beat shit out of you. But it's actually a Palladian symbol, so you just turn it back up. You know, it's like one of the symbols. The original symbol is this way up. So that little symbol tells so much, and it's different with each individual on this planet. Has like 6 billion meanings just for the sign of peace. The same way the symbol of love. All of you have a different feeling about love because it changes every second, depending on your growth, on how much you want to grow and conceive, you know, with the emotion, the feelings, and all this. So we look at the swastika, the symbol of the swastika, that tells a story, right? Those are important. That's why they had these on these ships. Just keep moving on. Moving on second by second. So people, mostly everybody in here probably already know these ones, right? Now these are the 1111 symbols, 11 dimensional. First, so a lot of these symbols here, just keep moving up. That's the, they have 3 messengers, these 3 guardians to each symbol. The first guardian is an earth messenger, and like a man, a buffalo, owl, a deer, a bear, an eagle, an owl, whale, spider, you know, any earth people. They're the first messenger, the guardian that goes with these symbols. And the second one is a star messenger, a guardian. There's 66 star messengers that work with these as well on 11th dimensional area. So if you're working with, like say, Andromeda or Alpha Centauri, Arcturus, Pleiades, Sirius, Orion, Beta Reticuli, name them. They're all out there. We're all part of that whole group. They're the guardians of the 11th dimensional yin and yang. The universal laws are feminine. That's how women work. They're feminine. They're like multitask people. And spiritual laws are masculine. They're so different. You ask a man a question, they go, you ask a woman a question, they give you about 10 different answers. I'll give you answer to your answer, the answer that they answered. So that's just how we're made on that level. So and that sometimes, you know, and, women don't understand men, but they get through it. So in the third messenger, third guardian is an ascended mastery realm. Okay, like Buddha, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Emmanuel. But what the star people says, like Emmanuel, the star people said, the Palladians said, he's from our group. Emmanuel is a star man. Emmanuel, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Saciel, Tramiel, Uriel. There's so many ELs that tells you that's Palladian. They come in to help with this evolution called love. And also the Palladians are here to help to brighten the aura of Mother Earth. But before they could do that, it goes back to you brighten your own aura first. Okay? That's just how things work. We have to accept, and how we have to ground ourselves down to the simple little things. Is understand anybody if you don't understand yourself. Okay? Don't try to heal anybody if you haven't healed yourself. Don't try to find peace with anybody if you haven't found peace with yourself. Don't even try to love anybody if you don't love yourself first. So how could you learn to love anybody if you don't have it here for yourself? Do not judge anybody anymore. Don't judge yourself. Forgive everyone, especially yourself. So everything points to you. Everything points to you. No need for externalizing anymore. No more blaming 12th dimensional level. You did this, you said that. You know, no need for that. If you feel that coming on, stop. Look at yourself. Because you're a teacher. You're a master. You're also a healer. So that's what we are. That's what we're working together to help refresh our memories. You all know. But some of the things I'm saying, you forgot to think about at this moment, that's all. You already know. I know some of you guys know. We'll get to that. So these are the symbols of the 1111. And they tell a story. Just like in ceremony, there's a sacred sequence of things. So when we got together with Grandma Chandra, with the 1111, she said, you need to have these symbols in order, these laws in order, because if they're not in order, then you could screw somebody's DNA up, you know, their memories. And that's not what we're here to do. So some people do that purposely, especially any guitar musicians out there. If you can teach somebody how to play guitars, please start with A. Because that's how they're programmed, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And a lot of times, to keep the money flowing, they start with C, move it to F, you know, that messes up that sequence of the ABC structure. And I've taught people how to play guitar in about 1 minute. And what they said was, what you just taught me, 30 years to learn where I'm at now, but what you just taught me was, you know, 30 years of teaching just in a minute. And it's all in how you hold one chord. They teach you how to hold it this way, and it should be this way. That way, every time you hit it, all your fingers stay the same. But they make you go like this. Okay, this is a universal alignment cosmic gate, the ceremony of renewal. So if you're looking on top, that's what the star people call that. That's their entitlement. That's how they look at things. On the bottom is how human beings see it. Ceremony of renewal. And this has a date. These all have a date. And this is the winter solstice. Okay? This is the time. All right, let's go. And there's like, with these symbols, you could go back a little bit, there's actually 7 messengers. But the Spirit said that we cannot comprehend the last 4 messages, so you'll just give us 3. 3 with each symbol. Until we open up and put our judgment and stay with our light shining all the time, then you can understand other things. But as long as you have judgment, you're blocking, you're limiting yourself. And that's with each other. All right. So spiritual attunement star activation, the cardinal, the little bird, that cardinal is one of the messengers. Okay. The 7 sisters, the Pleiades, the second messenger. Iktomi Waka, the sacred spider. So if you're looking at the last part of this, every symbol, there's a spider that's attached to it. So you got 8 symbols, and one part of the symbols, we call them the 8 legs of the spider. Teachings of the 8 legs of the spider, the right legs, and the other ones are the left legs. See? They're actually 8-dimensional side stepping stones. Okay, now the spiritual attunement star activation, if you took it and move it at a 45-degree angle, then you got, okay, the horses, go back. The horses, this is their symbol. The laughing horse, they talk backwards, the horse talks backwards. But he knows how to read body language. Like long time ago, all the cowboys, Indians that rode bareback, whatever, the horse, when you grab, remember like Avatar? You grab that mane, that's their connection. And a lot of people wondering how. Caroline's a horse lady right here. She has a big old Arabian horse that she hides around, what's that mountain range over there? Beetlejuice? Yeah. So the horses, they have that connection. They have that telepathic connection to their mane. So when they ride bareback. They didn't need to have the reins like this. They use their feet as well. They use their heels to guide their horses and talk to their horses that are very connected to the horses. They start people. Centaurs, Alpha Centauri, the horse people, right? Yep. Okay, blue eye. This is a dolphin right here. A dolphin that works with this as well. Next one would be blue spider. Now, these messages that they give, their terminologies, just real small terminologies. And with blue spider says a keen eye will correct astrology. What does that mean? It means there's something wrong with astrology. Right? So I said, well, yeah, I got a keen eye. Why are they saying we've got to correct astrology? All right, look at astrology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right now, something's wrong here. 13 is the number, universal number. It has to be 13. Everything's 13. Everything. It's 13. It's a feminine, high divine feminine number. They're 13th floor. They don't want you to hang around the number 13. Friday the 13th, and with the chainsaw get away from. So 13 is the feminine, divine feminine. So we'll take that back into blue spider. So when you look at this astrology, there's only 12. There's something missing. 13. So we challenged all the astrologers and all that. There's 13. We went to DC, went up and talked to everybody. There's 13. The 13th was Ophiuchus. Okay? They took Ophiuchus out. Simply because they got tired. They wanted everything in symmetry like this. They wanted the pie to be just equal. And they wanted everything to be 30 days. Impossible. Impossible, because if you're looking at the pinpoint here of Earth, the sun, and everything that goes across behind the sun, the day you're born is your sun sign. Okay, on a triangle, movements like this. See? Anything that's the closest to the smaller point of the triangle takes less time. Anything further out takes a while. You go across, right? If they're all 30 days, that means all the stars, planets, novas, black holes, everything's all on the same line. Impossible. So when you look at the astrological, the real stuff, how many Scorpios in here? Okay, your influence, the Scorpio is only, what, 7 days. Virgo, how many virgins in here? One virgin? One virgin, how many Virgos in here? That's 45 days. So when you look at that, so we went to DC, challenged the system, and they said, where did you get this? Says, you guys are supposed to know this. You're experts. So they announced it, but they announced it right down here in Denver of 2011 with 13 symbols. So it knocked all these experts, professionals of the astrological sciences, you know, they had to relearn everything again. They didn't like that, but they had to. And some of you that tried to learn that, you couldn't because your vibration is a little bit higher and you can't connect with it, right? Yeah, you can't connect with it. There's something not right here. You can't retain the information because it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply. So 13, they talked about 13. Talked about the 13 tests of the moon. We have to go to this 28-day cycle, feminine cycle, from new moon to new moon, first quarter to next quarter, and full moon. All this is all in the 13 moon cycle, 13 moons a year. That's high vibrational energy. So it talks about each cycle carries a test that we need to retain. The first test was the test of devotion and dedication. Dedication and devotion to spirit. But whose spirit? You know, what spirit? So, you know, you got your choice of vibrational energies, of dimensional spirits and guides and all that. But that's up to you. Under the laws of attraction, you're going to attract the vibration that you're equal to. So if you're going to be an asshole, you're going to attract asshole spirits. And if you're in your highest vibration, yeah, there's going to be so much light around you that people are going to feel you. They're going to want to hang around you and wonder how you did that. You know, that's just working with yourself, working with your own energy and just, you know, throwing this away just like killing an onion. So there's so much information that that's in this book and this what they gave us, but their vibrational energies are like, it makes you think, you know, throws you back into act and makes you actually go into your heart, because this here goes goofy. You know, when you look at things, you try to figure out, you're not going to figure it out at all up here. But if you stay here, then everything's just so simple. So this one here is Spiritual Web of the Universe. This is February 2nd. I mean, not February 2nd. The other one's February 2nd. This is equinox. But the one before this, take it back a little bit. Right here, this is a ceremony of rebirth, and this is renewal. But it was actually the ceremony of renewal. It was actually a bear ceremony. A lot of these have to do with the weather patterns and planting and all this. So this would, if some of you went out in the wintertime and looked around, some of you know where the bears are hibernating, sleeping, because you see a little trail of vapor coming out of the ground from their breath. And that's how they would steal the bear cubs and they'd crawl in there and all that. But they would go into when the bears are out, and they know that there's going to be an early spring. See? So when they checked with the bears, they crawl in there, just poke them, see if they wake up and all this. They quit doing that because, you know, that's kind of a scary thing. So what they did is they picked on this little furry guy, about this small. Every February 2nd, they put on a little furry hedgehog, you know, or whatever, groundhog. They check the weather. So that was mostly a weather ceremony. Okay, this is the ceremony of awakening. The springtime. Spiritual Web of the Universes. Okay, who are the messengers? We have the turtle. Turtle, the grandma says every step that you should make should be a step of love. Take your time, be careful. And when you have issues, problems, difficulties, go into your shell. Your shell is your protection. But what she's saying there is that your protection is also anything that makes you happy. Singing, dancing, doing some art, anything that, you know, uplifts your spirit. That's your protection. Because if you're out there on the dance floor dancing around, everybody's happy, nothing's gonna bother you. Zero. If you're singing, you're doing good, everybody's smiling, everybody's feeling good, nothing's gonna bother you. That's your protection. So learn how to utilize your gifts, your God-given gifts, in order to help others as well, you know. So the turtle, the twin flames. How many of you understand twin flames? You? Yeah. Well, we look at twin flames with when they're talking about twin flames, you have to go back into this type of ceremony, which is actually another ceremony called ceremony of remembrance. But they're talking about soulmates too. You know, soulmates. You have 144 soulmates. And they're always telling you to marry your soulmate. Try it. Try it 144. Your soulmates are actually a group of souls that are in this as a workforce to create change, beautiful change, and also to create miracles through spiritual ways. Okay? Then you got your twin souls. You got twin souls, and you got 13 of them. You're the 13th. But you got everybody that's born under a different astrological sign are your soulmates. Right? Your twin souls. Then you got your twin flames. You got 7 of them. And you're the 7th. And they come in a variety of, depending on your growth. Over here is all your grandfathers over here. Your grandmother over here. Your Holy Father is over here, and your Holy Mother is behind you. Your Mystery Father here, and your Mystery Mother below you. So those are like your spirit guides. Your spirit guides. And they are all actually an aspect of you at different lifetimes. Okay? So when you work with these guides, you'll see them as this or that, or Asian, or Egyptian, or Indian, or whatever. Those are your lifetimes. But the other way they see you as a unique flame is that over here, you are the center of this. And over here is all your masculine sides with all your grandfathers, of your ancestors, and your fathers, and your uncles, and your brothers, and your little sons, and older sons, and nephews, and grandsons, and all this, all the aspects of the masculine. You are that voice, all of that. And over here, the feminine, your grandmothers, your ancestors, your mothers, your aunts, your sisters, your nieces, and your daughters, and your granddaughters, all of that. You are their voice. You are their protectors. See? And behind you is your past. Everything from this second I left this last word, that belongs there. So anything that you could remember as far back as you can, if you go back 6 billion years, good. That's your memory, that's your DNA, that's what you are, an archive to time. This multi-dimensional ingredient called time, that is your voice from the past. Anything that happened, you are the voice. And in front of you is your future. You're the voice of your future. If you could go back in time, you can go into the future. And they don't want you to do that. You know? but you've done it already. That's why you're sitting here, right? Yeah. So you could go beyond that. You heard the word time machine. We know what time is on one level. Time is just artificial. What is Mercury? What's the time of Mercury for the sun? Rotate around the sun. 2 months. 2 months to go around. So the time different. How about Venus? 6 months to go around. So their time is different. Earth. How many? A whole year? 365 days. Call it?
One time.
Yeah, one time around. How about Mars? 660 some days to go around. What's next? Jupiter. How long is Jupiter? How about Saturn? Okay. How about Neptune? Uranus?
84
So time is so, it's a man-made tool, you know. Orient time, it's a slavery time, you know. The Mayans, so unique, they had, what is that, 1320, 13 moon cycle, which is good. They had 20-day week, right? 20 days. We only got 7. And that's why you're so stressed out. Mayans have a longer weekend. Yeah, so they're so unique, their time. So we're talking about time machine. Over here, we have the Pleiades time. They could take you out of your seat 1 second and you'd be gone for 2 weeks and bring you back the next second. That's their time. Here, Earth Spirit time, 91 point what? 25. 91.25. In other words, you can create your future with that time. Knowing how to, Carolyn knows how to do it. It takes you 4 days to create your whole year. Right? Through working with your summer, fall, winter, and spring. The sun dance. How many sun dancers in here stand up? These guys know. These guys know time. They know that. That's that code. They know how to make things happen for future. Okay, thank you. So time artificial. It's what do you want to do with your time? Your time is more precious than anybody else's. So time is really, so we go into that time with the twin flames, past, present, future. Then above you is everything that you see from horizon to horizon. You know, we go outside, go out in the prairie, and you look above you. You're the voice of every star, every planet, every sun, every moon, everything that you could see. Learn about that. You're the voice of this universe. Below you, Mother Earth. Everything here, every rock, every stone, every plant, every blade of grass, every animal, every bird, everything here on this planet, you are their voice. So twin flames is much more than what they're trying to tell you. Every time you see a picture of twin flames, a couple of people making up. So that's how they want you to limit yourself, your growth, and all. So, and the next one is your twin ray. Okay, twin ray. And it sounds like a person, which it's sort of like is, but it's more than. Okay, so twin ray, we work on this. And your twin ray is every lifetime you are, in other words, your mate has to carry all those aspects, if you're a woman, all those aspects of that man. Wear every hat. He has to be your grandfather, your father, you know, your uncle, not the dirty uncle. Your brothers, you know, you are all of that to your mate, little brother. You are the best friend, the lover, the grandson, the son to your woman. Same way the woman to your man. You carry all those aspects of being his grandmother, his mother, his auntie, his wife, his lover, his best friend, his worst enemy, his little sister, the older sister, little niece, little daughter, and a granddaughter. You carry all that aspects, and you live those lifetimes as that. And also exchanged. You've been that woman, you've been that man. So you have all those aspects of feminine and masculine that you recognize each other as a twin. See, it's just not, you got to see it all, experience it all, understand it all, embrace it. So that is like the ultimate in what we need to look at within each other. Where are we with each other? Where are we? Are we carrying that full capacity as a masculine and as a feminine to your mate? You know, so these little things. So the twin ray is very, very beautiful time, you know, to recognize your mother. So that's just a little bit off top. What's next? Singing spider. All right, how many singing spiders here? 5 of them? Or is that time? I got 5 minutes? Oh. Okay. All right, spiders. Next. This is the universal web of the mind. This is May 2nd. All right, May 2nd. If you have pencil paper, write down the time. The other stuff is easy. Ceremony of expectations. How many of you expect something and it doesn't happen? You all have your hands. Yeah. All right, so the kingfisher, that little bird that likes to dive in the water, a merlin, the magician, or the master, Sanat Kumara, Melchizedek, and high spider are all the messages for this. So keep going, because it's picking us off the stage. Universal path of all relations, ceremony of first fruits. This is August 2nd. We kind of bypassed that other one. Spiritual gentleness and strength. This is summer solstice. Summer solstice is usually when we work with this here. It's Sundance season. So I've been like sundancing since 1973. And I used to run about 5 or 6 sundances a year, but now the Spirit told me just one is good enough for now. So getting older, so I don't have that energy like we used to. Many faces. He's a chief clown. So when you were working with heyokas, then you could see through anybody. Heyokas are they're like that. They can see the goofiness in you that you carry. You all have it. Okay, many. He's chief clown. Laughing spider. And all right. Now the ceremony of attainment. Buffalo people. Go ahead. The Holy Mothers. Also the rainbow spider, Tony Winuke. Next. We have the ceremony of the Door of Destiny, which is ceremony of Thanksgiving. That's a psalm. Messengers are the star winds, the grandfather's breath. You can get that in this. But not spider of destiny. Thanks. Phase 1. Ocean of reality. That's what we're in right now. Ceremony of remembrance. And that's what we talked about. We touched base with the soulmates, twin souls, the twin flames, and the twin ray. Walking Bear talks about reconnecting yourself on your solar energies, solar influences, and also your planet energies. And the big star bear works with all the influences of the stars, much like astrologically, they see things differently. Grandmother Star Spider, you gave that message this morning? Grandma Star Spider message? Anybody? Okay. All right. So those were the 12-12. And the reason why they call them 12-12 because you got four symbols here, and each one has 3 messengers. So that's 12. That's the universal messengers of the spider. And the spiritual messages, there's 12, so that's a 12-12 energy of yin and yang of the spider. So you need to learn, because each animal, everything on creation is your teacher. And if the spider is just giving you their teachings of their legs, then you got some work to do if you're going to learn about the butterflies. And you have the spiders, they don't stop there, they teach you about their eyes. And each eye carries a teaching and a star connection. In one eye is the Elohi of peace, Elohi of tranquility, and all those old spiritual Hercules influences from way back. One's Cassiopeia, Cyclopia, one is Arcturus, and the other one is Sacred Orionis. Those are the 8 eyes of the spider. And they have you have to learn to define dimension and refine dimension and experience dimension 8 levels. And it's something like this. If we put a curtain here and have 8 guys back here that you can't see, and they all talk like George Bush, and you got the real George Bush in there, and they all say, I'm George Bush, I'm George. You've got to figure out which one is the real one. That's your job as teachers. When you're channeling and when you're bringing in influences, you've got to be accurate and precise because people are listening. Yeah. They need help. Because you are their external, and they find out who their spirit guides are. Until they figure it out. So when you quit externalizing and looking for God and looking for the devil, and find out that you are the God and the goddess, and you are the devil, and you're that alien and that spider and everything else that they blame people on, then you are the true atheist. Just believe in yourself. That's all you need. Because you are the spokesman for everything. That's when the doors open. Down.
Hey, another round of applause.
That's like so at this time, we are going to be breaking for lunch. We have menus over here. I would ask everybody to please keep in mind that we do have a lot of people here. So just to be patient, so we don't rush the kitchen. They have buffalo burgers, they have regular buns, and gluten-free buns, and no buns, and lots of really awesome food. So it really helps to support. I just have a couple more things to say before everybody gets up. So it really helps to support Jolynn in this establishment with us ordering food from here for her offering us this facility. So in turn, we're all about equal exchange. So supporting her since she's supporting us. And just please keep in mind that, you know, they only have a certain size kitchen. They're also serving lunch upstairs. So even if it takes a while for our food to come out, they are gonna bring it down here to us. So even if we started with the next speaker, we can still hang out, eat. Please go check out all of our amazing vendors. We have lots of amazing products over here. So if you're doing any early Christmas shopping, this is a wonderful place, and you are supporting small local businesses with a lot of artists who are creating their own work. We also have some merchandise over here that I have from my place too, and Chicola Eagles books. And so Heather is going to be taking everyone's orders, so just be patient, maybe do some shopping while some people order. Heather's behind bar, so please make sure to tip her extremely well, so she's going to be taking care of all of us, and send her lots of love too. And then our next speaker will start back up at 1. So like I said, even if you don't have your food, we can still accommodate and eat down here. So thank you, everybody.